Hello and welcome back to the Gadd podcast, episode number 13. Unlucky for some, but today I am very excited to introduce a fellow honey badger. He is the founder of the Honey Badgers, or one of the founders of the Honey Badgers, Mr. Al Stasek.
Hello, Phil.
How's it going today, Al?
Couldn't be better. Greatest day ever. Appreciate you having me on today.
Yeah, not a problem. So, Al, the accolades kind of, stack up for yourself. You got licensed, I believe, back in '98. Rookie of the Year, Century 21, Remax Hall of Fame. You're currently a coach and lead for over 8,000 agents in 50 states, 5 Canadian provinces, Puerto Rico, India, and Portugal. You're the founder of Stasek Group of EXP Realty. And you formed the Honey Badgers with Jay Kinder and Michael Rees. That's a pretty tall order. I'd just really like to sort of unpack and go right back to the beginning in '98. Why'd you get into the business, and if we could sort of take the journey to where you are now and let our listeners know a bit of an insight into your mind.
Sure, Phil. So just a little bit of a correction on that. So Honey Badger Nation, those stats are a little bit old. We're actually over 12,300 agents now.
Oh, my apologies.
Yep, no, not at all. It's fine. The number keeps moving kind of fast, and it's important to know, kind of like, because it's been about 5 years. Specifically, it's been 5 years and about a month when we moved our brokerages over. And so the growth has really been exponential. It's been, it's been a blessing to say the least. And we really didn't anticipate things growing as fast. But I mean, to answer your question, going back to the beginning, you almost have to go a little bit further back than 1998. That's when I was actually licensed. That's when I passed the test.
Okay.
But prior to that, my father, whose also name is Al Senior, he was a blue collar dock worker, worked a 9-to-5 job that he hated, and he loved selling real estate. He sold part-time and never really broke away into the full-time real estate realm because he had there's 3 of us, my brother, my younger brother, my younger sister. I'm the oldest of 3.
Okay.
And my mom was working 2 jobs to make ends meet. And he knew that there was no, medical insurance as such. If he were to go with, a full-time real estate agent, he'd have to figure out a way to cover that. So he stayed in a job he hated for 30 years and sold real estate on the side. And why that's relevant to the conversation is because I've been going into real estate offices since I was a little kid. And the environment back then, and I'm specifically talking about the 80s and early 90s. Right. It was not the same environment that you think about when you think about today's real estate offices and the spaces that we all kind of work out of today. It was very male dominated. It was very rough around the edges. Guys swearing, smoking in the office. It wasn't what anyone would imagine today.
Okay.
And so I grew up never wanting to be a real estate agent. I saw my dad, come home, put on the Century 21 gold coat, go out to appointments, come back. He would always cold call up in our home. We had an office in our house, and he would call a street a day, asking who was looking to sell their house either now or in the future, and get hung up on, swore at. And I'd go up there and sometimes listen to these calls, and it was painful. Right. So I said, I'm never going to be a real estate agent. In fact, I wanted to be a lumberjack, which that never turned out. My brother's actually a lumberjack.
Okay.
I didn't go into that direction. What I did, though, was I ended up following my dad's footsteps in the other direction. I worked the docks.
Okay.
I loaded trucks on the docks, and then I eventually got my CDL and drove. I was an over the road truck driver hauling freight. That was not my destiny, and I had already dropped out of college, so I really wasn't very employable, so to speak. So right. I got my real estate license in 1998, and that's kind of where the journey began.
So when you were driving trucks, you were sort of thinking, well, this is not my path. what sort of took you? What made you decide then real estate was?
Well, it was kind of a default. What I started to learn about myself and just kind of reflecting on how I was able to interact with people was that I could I had very few gifts, but the one gift I did have was I had an insatiable drive and work ethic,
Okay.
and I felt like I was working really really hard. Whether I was driving trucks or on the docks, oftentimes I had two jobs, but I wasn't getting ahead. And I said to myself, I think I could learn to sell if I just had the right mentor and coach, or someone to teach me the ropes. And so I thought to myself, if I was going to sell something, and this was just my Neanderthal brain and how it was working back then, is I said I'd want to sell the highest ticket item, and I want to sell something that everyone needed. And everyone needs shelter over their head. And one of the highest ticket items I can think of is, selling homes and real estate. So my dad was doing it. I was like, well, if dad can do it, maybe I can learn to do it. He can teach me the ropes. That's how I decided on real estate. It was really just, it was a default because I didn't have a college degree.
Yeah.
I didn't have any experience in anything else. And I knew I'd pretty much be hired anywhere if I could get my real estate license. So there wasn't a lot of intellectual thought behind the process.
Right.
But it turned out okay.
Yeah, cool. So you licensed in '98. Was that rookie of the year? So I'm assuming you went to C21 straight away. And so, what did you just find you were good at it, and then it was a slow, not a slow, it was just a progression. Things just started happening, or did you were you like, no, right now I'm really good at it, or I've got a skill at this, I'm gonna take it to the next level?
What ended up happening was in the interim of me getting my real estate license, I needed a job to pay my bills, which were at the time very, very low. So I took a job as a bill collector, and I was collecting on delinquent mobile home mortgages, and they actually aren't even mortgages; they're loans because
Right.
it's not real estate. And so I was collecting on delinquent mobile home loans, and my states were Louisiana, Alabama, and Mississippi. And these people were super nice down there, but there was a lot of people that weren't paying their bills on time. So I had lots of phone calls to make. So I literally was making $19,000 per year salary, no bonus. The only way I would make any more money is if I did overtime. So I had a very high level of intrinsic motivation to get out of that job because it stunk. And frankly, it just I knew I was there for a purpose. It was to get me from point A to point B. Right. And for me, point B was putting two homes under contract simultaneously, because I knew if I could close two homes in 1 month, I would have like 2 months of bills paid. It would give me enough cushion with a 100% commission type of job to carry me forward and get going. And so that's really what I did. I resigned the minute I put that second home under contract, and I've been 100% commission ever since.
Yeah.
I really would I would try anything, Phil. I had really good people that I was working with at Century 21. It was a great family-owned franchise.
Right.
But they weren't into technology. This is right when Realtor.com was born, pretty much. That this was right when the internet, people started putting homes on the internet. Before that, it was unheard of. And a lot of the guys in the office I was in thought that the sky was falling when, like, oh, that's it. Our business is done. They're not going to need us. This internet thing came along. I embraced it. I for whatever reason, kind of saw what could be the future. And I just decided to become a student of the game. I bought everything I possibly could buy as far as coaching in a box types of things. I bought Craig Proctor. I bought Buffini. I bought, scripts from different real estate coaches to learn how to sell. So I was really self-taught when it boils right down to it, which that only got me so far. You really need I believe everyone in life needs a great coach. And I believe that if you have a really good coach, it can take you from point A to point B in a fraction of the time, and get you to your goal faster. I just couldn't afford one at the beginning, so I had to buy whatever I could afford at the time. And, like I said, it did end up turning out okay in the long run, but it took me longer to see success than I've seen some of my coaching clients, as a matter of fact, see success a lot quicker.
Okay. That's interesting. You talk about a coach. So would you say that's probably the biggest reason that you went from, I don't know, maybe plateauing to kind of where you are now?
Well, 100%. I've never really been afraid of trying, new things, new business models, so to speak. I've, in general, been open-minded to finding alternative ways to run a real estate business. Ultimately, looking for just the best way is what I was in search of.
Okay.
Through that search, I came across, somehow I got Jay Kinder. I ended up on Jay Kinder's email list, and Mike and Jay are master marketers.
Right.
In fact, right before this, Jay and I have been cranking since 7:30 in the morning on a new marketing campaign that we're about to launch. And
Right.
so, I started getting these messages from Jay, and they were messages on how I could grow my business. And he was giving me away these tips for free. And I was like, who's this guy with, the Southern accent? He's making like 3 times the amount of money that I'm making. So I started listening to him, and then just started implementing like a copycatter everything that he was showing me to do in these videos. And I hadn't paid him a dime yet. So I was like, wow, this is really cool. Like, where's the catch? And so the catch was this: he was leading me down the path of showing me everything to do. But ultimately what I found was I came to a point where I needed to know what are the right things to do in the right order. I didn't need,
Right.
if I were to say, Phil, I'm going to give you all the ingredients on how to build a $10 million company as an entrepreneur. I'm just going to give it all to you, right?
Yeah.
In no particular order, but I'm going to give you everything, like every secret, every strategy, every tactic. I'm just going to give you everything. That'd be fine. But if you didn't know how to put it in the right order, it's like baking a cake. If you don't put the ingredients and do things in the right order, you're not going to come out with a cake. It's going to be a mess. So I discovered that it was invaluable to me that I paid a small bit of my earnings to pay someone who can get me to the point from point A to point B quicker. And I made less mistakes along the way. I still made a lot of mistakes, by the way, but I made a lot less, and it just got me there quicker. And the investment was, it was a probably, if I look back at it, a 500x return on investment. There's not too many things you could put like, wow, that gave me a 500x return on my investment. But for me, coaching did.
So curious then, how did you actually, you say you started getting Jay's emails. Did you just like see what he was doing, thought it was great, and then just subscribe to something he was doing, or?
I really got no idea. To this day, I have no idea. Like it had to have been a brilliant top of funnel, probably a free gift.
Okay.
I saw an ad on that they ended up targeting me. Like I said, these guys are genius marketers, right?
Yeah.
I'm still learning from them every day. And I probably got that free gift. And as a result of the free gift, I was on their list, and then they started giving me more value. And this is just a marketing thing. Like, I literally just shot a YouTube video on this yesterday. And really what this principle is that it's not the best real estate agent that's going to win in a particular market. It's going to be the best marketer in that market that's going to win.
Yeah.
When you're in real estate school, nobody teaches you marketing. Like what you're doing right here, Phil, is brilliant. What you're doing is this is a podcast is really a top of funnel marketing mechanism or strategy, if you will, that will take an audience that you would like to do business with in one way or another. And what you're doing is you're offering them value. We call this a deposit.
Yeah.
You're making deposits into every entrepreneur who's going to watch this, every real estate agent who's going to watch this, and who want to get where you're at. And they're going to be taking notes, and you're giving them free value. And what that does is that's the principle of building trust and authority. And only when you build trust and authority can then you maybe transact with them, and those deposits then turn into withdrawals.
Yeah.
And that's really just the marketing methodology that we subscribe to. It's obviously one that the top marketers, the top earners in the world subscribe to that same methodology. So
yeah, that's brilliant. No, that's just, I'm always been big on marketing throughout my career. I've never really been a marketer. Well, I guess, like you say, you have to be. Building your brand. I've been consuming some interesting content recently from all kinds of different industries, but marketing in particular. And there's this really great guy that I just sort of discovered, actually, and I discovered him because you find him on YouTube, and his name's called. I'm just going to go down this rabbit hole for a little bit. His name's Mike Winnett, and he basically he's got this like comedy thing where he kind of rips apart what he calls entrepreneurs. So he has this thing called Entrepreneur Bingo, where he listens to their sales pitch and he goes through it. Anyway, I sort of did a little bit more digging into them. This guy it's not his real name, obviously, but he actually started and sold a real business for £8 million UK pounds in less than 3 years. And he's just got a very interesting story, and a lot of his marketing on the back of that. He says, and what I'm looking to do now, actually, with sort of my real estate stuff, he says the best thing you can do is to discover what your ideal customer is talking about or has 3 problems, and make videos about them. And I thought that was brilliant because I get asked questions all the time as a realtor, and if I find them top sort of 5 questions, that's my next sort of thing over the next sort of week or so. I'm just gonna make videos about them. Yeah, I just thought that was brilliant, and like you say, it's all about being a marketer. Is one of the reasons why you sort of float to the top.
I mean, what one of my good friends and coaches, Coach Burt, says is that money exchanges hands when a problem is solved.
That's right.
So in order to, you nailed it with what you just shared with the audience is really the essence of marketing. You can't market and actually expect someone to do business with you unless you can solve a problem for them. And in order to solve a problem, you have to know what their problem is.
Yeah.
So it starts with, who is your ideal client profile? That's called the ICP. And in my world, it's the ideal agent profile. So when Jay and I this morning, when we were writing out our new, product offer and what our new offering was going to be, we really had to dig down and say, who is this that we're wanting to, help? And once we say, okay, I'm just using this as an example. It could be an agent who's doing between 3 million and 10 million in business, and they're looking to double their business from where they're at. What is their number 1, number 2 problem, right? And then come down to it, like, what's keeping them up at night? Said differently, what is the biggest rock in their shoe keeping them from getting from point A to B? And what could we do to help them solve that problem? Or what are all the ways we can help them solve that problem? And that's marketing. And when you be able to articulate that in the form of a webinar, a video sales letter, sales letter via video, or it could even be through writing sales copy, in an ad or whatever.
Yeah.
If you can articulate that best way and build trust, goes right back to building trust and authority. And if any of your listeners are trying to grow their business in real estate, it's the same process. But your clientele is a seller, someone who owns a home and they're looking to sell it. I love targeting downsize people. People are looking to downsize.
Yeah.
Too big of a home.
Yeah.
And I think like what's relevant right now, I don't know when this is going to air, but what's relevant right now with downsizers is that they've been, the empty nesters have been staying put. The reason they have been staying put is there's nowhere for them to move. And so they're sitting in a house that's too big for them. They probably are starting to not even afford to be able to keep it up because it's too big for them. They're probably going from a bigger income to a fixed income. And so these are the things, right? They have 40. We just literally helped my mom and dad move into a new house. So I just went through this. And so there's 43 years of memories that are emotions and all these things. So when you're thinking about how to target the audience, think about, real specifically, like what's keeping them up at night.
So. Absolutely. Yeah. Because you're right. They've got problems that they need solving with that scenario. And if you can like hit that nail on the head, and you're on, well, especially video, answering that question or solving that problem for them, they're going to be like, oh, okay, Phil Gadd, he's talking about the problem that I've got and he's got a solution, so I'm going to give him a call. Absolutely. That was awesome. That was some great stuff in there. That was that was really good. So I just want to rewind a little bit. I'm curious. I've got a curious mind. So you're consuming Jay and Michael's content. At what point did you decide that it would be a good idea to all get together and create the Honey Badgers? How did that all come about?
Well, that came about because in 2017, when I saw the EXP business model and really opened my mind up to the idea, I was very much against the idea of closing my brokerage or just merging it into another brokerage. Because I didn't understand I didn't know what I didn't know.
Yeah.
What I didn't know was that this is actually it's like pouring gasoline on my existing business model. And I didn't have to give up my brand, and I didn't have to give up my brokerage. I was just simply moving it onto a different platform. Once I figured that part out,
right,
Jay and Michael and I sat down and we said, we need a platform because we're planning on bringing as many people to this platform as possible because it's the best.
Right.
And if we didn't believe it was the best, we wouldn't be bringing people over. And we knew that we had a lot to offer. We had all this coaching materials that Mike and Jay had built, and that I was one of their coaches. And we've collaborated on so many things to help agents grow their business, but we needed a platform that we could actually get that out to them. And so we started the Facebook group. We didn't know what to call it. So we said, okay, we need a way of communicating with our group, but what are we going to call it? And we said, well, we're not going to call it Al, Mike, and Jay's group.
Yeah.
We're not going to call it Kinder, Reese, and Stasek's group because it's not about us.
Yeah.
And so we landed on Honey Badger, and I can tell you why. In fact, I have it right here, Phil.
Yeah.
Jay and Mike used to give an award out when they had the coach, when they had the mastermind group, and you can see that award right there. I got it.
Oh, yeah.
It's called the Honey Badger Award. There's a picture of me before I could grow facial hair. And so, the award was given to one of their coaching clients who was resilient, who was bold, who was smart, who got after it, who didn't quit when they got knocked down. Right. So let's say they had a tough year, but they came up on top and they kept working and put their head down. That's how they determined who would get that award every year. Everybody wanted the award. And so I just said, kind of on a whim, I said, well, why don't we just call it the Honey Badger Group, or, Honey Badger Nation? It turned into from Honey Badger to Honey Badger Nation. And it started out as not so much a joke, but just as a place card. I said we could always change it if we don't like it.
Yeah.
But what ended up happening was that people attached to it, and they attached to there was a sense of belonging to it because their identity was attached to the same things that Honey Badger stand for, which is boldness, which is being, smart, humble, hungry, getting after it every day, being resilient. These are all the attributes of what we feel is a Honey Badger. So it really stuck on a level we weren't really planning on it sticking.
Yeah.
But we're excited about it. We're proud of the people. We're proud of the group of leaders that have emerged out of this group, that there's a handful of them that have outsold anything that Jay, Michael, and I have ever done in our own, sales teams or our own brokerages. We have, people that are selling 2,000 homes. We have people selling 700, 800, homes per year. And the cool thing is they're opening their playbooks up inside this group, and they're open books. They're sharing everything. I've never seen anything like it in any of the other brokerage settings, whether it was Century 21, Remax, all great companies, by the way. But none of those agents would ever be sharing the things that are being shared inside this group so openly, so giving. And that's what I'm most proud of is the folks that are contributing and collaborating on a daily basis and growing their business.
No, that's really interesting. I kind of my mind works. I like to fill in the dots, like on how things are formed and created. So that's awesome. Now I kind of in my mind know, but yeah, I mean, I'm part of the Honey Badgers group, and I left. I was actually with Royal LePage for a year. So I'm in the real estate industry as well. As part of owning a restaurant and stuff like that. But I took my business from my first year. I've only been 4 years. So first year I was, did all right, 15 deals. But then next year at EXP, I almost, I did 30 deals. I missed Icon by one, just because I didn't quite hit the numbers. But I pretty much doubled my business in my first year of, and that I just put that down to, thank you.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah, and I'm in a town with 6,000 people, and I just put it down, the openness of and the collaboration at the brokerage EXP, and the people I've met along the way, or who are in my upline, Pierre and Andre and Todd, just phenomenal. I love it.
That's great.
It really, it's really helped me. And at the end of the day, it helps your families, and you feel like you can grow, and just being able to chat like with someone like yourself, who's obviously you live in the life. You've got to the point where you're now running over 12,000 agents. That's phenomenal. The model's just phenomenal.
Yeah, we pinch ourselves every day. We try to continue putting our heads down, and now it's about solving problems for our agents. We feel a sense of responsibility. When they partner with us at Honey Badger Nation, we take that literally, to the sense of, we've just in the past 3 or 4 weeks, we've added 2 more live trainings weekly. One is with Wally Bressler. He's one of the top real estate coaches in the world. Wally's coached, you can kind of just stick your finger around the globe as far as North America, from Canada to the US. And he's coached like the number 1 or number 2 person in about every major city. He's teaching, this coach is teaching our agents what to say, how to say it, tonality, the skills that you need when you're either starting your career or you're at a point in your career where you have to learn sales skills. Like now, it's been fairly easy, in a market that has very little inventory. If you list a home, it's going to sell pretty quickly, and you don't need sales skills, at that point. But it's going to come to a point now that the shift is happening where, you're going to need some sales skills. So we hired Wally Bressler. We brought him aboard. He's teaching all of our agents sales skills every single week. They can ask questions if they want, and it's live training.
Okay.
On Fridays, we do what's called Funnel Fridays. So what we've discovered when we're talking about the biggest problem, real estate agents have often, is how to put a sustainable, repeatable, and predictable stream of new business into your pipeline on a weekly basis.
Okay.
And it's easier said than done. But, when you say, well, you just build a sales funnel, start running an ad, and you're going to start getting leads. And that's not that easy. But what we do is we've simplified that process.
Okay.
And Jay's younger son, Braden, happens to be an expert in not just building out funnels, but writing the correct ads, running the correct ads to the correct audiences, and actually building the funnel the right way. And so he's perfected this, and he's been able to, there's actually, I just met a gentleman out of Dayton, Ohio, that Braden I would say about 6 months ago or so, met him, got him up and running on Funnel Fridays, what we're doing today. And this kid is a college student. He's a senior at Ohio State University, and he sells real estate. He says, when I asked him, so he's a full-time student. He's got a full schedule. And on top of that, he's a full-time agent. And he has an hour and a half drive from Cincinnati to Columbus, Ohio, three times a week. He sells real estate on the road in between, and he's doing just under $1 million in closed volume because of the leads that are coming in from our funnels that we're building out for agents. So, it's working. And if a college kid, that's with a full college schedule can see success with it, then I'm pretty sure we can, anyone out there who's hungry, humble, and smart, we can help them grow. So it's been fun to watch, the success stories come in, and we're just excited, about what the future brings.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, Honey Badger or not, well, first of all, where can you get access to Wally you were talking about? Is that in the is that in the Facebook group or?
Yeah, actually it is. So it's Honey Badger, honeybadgernation.com, and that's really where we kind of house all of our links to all the live trainings and things that we do for our agents on a weekly basis.
Okay, and then you'll be able to find the Funnel Friday there too?
Yes, that's actually, that will be in there as well. The link on that there too.
That's awesome. Well, I'm definitely going to check that out myself because, I do like creating what you're talking about with the funnels and stuff. So that's good to know. I didn't know that, so that's great.
Awesome.
Yeah, cool. I ask this of all my guests, Sal. So how do you define success?
I think that success is defined differently by everyone. And I'll give a good example of that. I know people that are extremely happy in where they're at in life, and they feel successful based upon, it could be where they're at in relationships or financially or, where they're at. But what I've kind of think that a lot of real estate agents would define success as is they're able to do what they want when they want with the people that they love the most, making memories, and not be strapped down 7 days a week, 14-hour days trying to sling real estate and still make a really good living. So, we really try to build a business and help other agents build a business that works harder for them than they do for it. And that's my new definition of success as far as it relates to someone that's in the real estate business. Now, I know you have other entrepreneurs watching this, and I think that applies to them too. An ability to scale your business in a way that it works harder for you than you do for it. And said differently, it has a somewhat of a passive income stream to it. Nothing's fully passive. I know that you're an entrepreneur. You own a restaurant, and I know that restaurants are nothing. There's nothing passive about owning a restaurant, but I know that it's definitely something that's scalable when you have the right leadership, and that's really any business model. If you're able to scale it with the right human beings, then anything is possible. And it just kind of comes down to you're not trading time for money. And so if you can scale your business to the point where you're not trading time for money, or at least you have multiple streams of income where you might have to trade a little bit of time for money, but not as much as you did. I remember walking in to my house one day, and I had never, I just almost never was able to be home at 5 or 6 o'clock for dinner. I would come home from my appointments around 10 p.m. And so I was always heating my dinner up, and I remember the first time I walked in And my kids looked at me funny and they were like, Dad, what are you doing home? 6 o'clock.
Mm.
Yeah, like they're just not used to me even being home that early. And that was right at the point where my business started to scale.
Right.
And I started adding different income streams, passive income streams, other income, multiple income streams, diversified my income versus just depending on one income stream, which is, sales, where I'm trading lots of my time for money.
No, that's a good answer. It's something that, I'm always actively doing. I mean, one it's funny, like a couple of things you mentioned there about the restaurant. Yeah, you do own the restaurant, but we had a really rough year 6-7 years ago, and I remember getting a business coach. Pretty much saved my life and my business. But within 2 years, I was able to get my real estate license because of the things he taught about building a business, scaling it, getting the right people in, all the things that you've mentioned there. And it works. A business coach will get you quicker from, like you said earlier, from point A to point B. Absolutely, 100%. I agree with that. It's just a big benefit all around. That's great. And you're right. I think this success is defined completely differently by every single person.
Well, man, I appreciate you having me on, Phil. This has been fun. I love rapping with you. Would love to do it again.
Yeah, sure.
You to help you and your audience grow. I would love to hop on again.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks, Al. I really appreciate it. And I hope you're going to be in Vegas, so maybe we can meet in person and be good.
Absolutely, my friend.
All right. You take care. Thanks, man. Yeah, bye.